Welcome to Holistic Kid Show. My name is Zane.
And my name's Abdullah.
We're the Holistic Kids here to educate and empower us kids from the inside out. Today we're going to be talking all about poop and our digestive health. The word is funny, but did you know your poop is the clue what is going on in your body? If you start digestive problems like bloating, diarrhea, constipation, indigestion, stomach aches, that is a clue that sometimes something is off. For what is going on specifically, as it could be something called small intestinal bacteria overgrowth, and we have the expert here to discuss it.
He wrote this amazing book called The Healing SIBO, and we have to have it on our show. Shivan Sarna is the author of Healing SIBO, TV host of the Home Shopping Network, and the creator of the SIBO SOS Summits and Community, the Digestion SOS documentary series, the Gut Microbiome Rescue Summit, and the Lymphatic Rescue Summit. After a lifetime of struggling with health issues, Shivan made it her mission to unclutter her own health struggles and to share this information with those who are struggling. Her special skills includes finding and connecting with the leading expert doctors and connecting those experts with the people who need their help. Her personal mantra is SOS, or save ourselves. And that's what she has helped thousands of people to do.
Welcome, Miss Sarna. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh my God, you guys are so good. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's our pleasure.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah. You went from TV host to health expert. We would love to hear your story.
Well, I appreciate that. I will keep it very short and sweet because, I'm really here to help other people with their stories. But what happened was I wasn't feeling well. And I went to doctor after doctor and got all kinds of sort of brush offs, and it's all in your head, and take this, antidepressant. And it was kind of insulting and very frustrating and super expensive. But it all turns out that I had SIBO this whole time. And what that is from, in my case, is food poisoning. So when I was younger than you guys are right now, I had food poisoning, and to this day, it's still impacting me. But when it was untreated, it was really, really making me uncomfortable. So I went to India on a trip with my parents when I was 5, and we had a great time, but I got really sick. And nothing was really the same after that. But I'm 5, right? So, who knows? Then I was about 6 or 7, and I went to upstate New York, and we went to a farm, and it was so cool. It was a field trip, and we were milking the cows, and these city slicker kids milking cows, and we were trying to be smart. And so we took a sip of the cow milk unpasteurized. Don't do that. So I got really sick from that. And again, not really the same after that. And then my whole life, I kind of struggled with my digestive system until I found out about SIBO, small intestine bacterial overgrowth. And I took a breath test where I drank this sugary syrup, and then I blew into these tubes, and turns out I had bacteria in the wrong place in my gut, in the small intestine. And it was those bacteria were farting out different kinds of gases, either hydrogen sulfide, or methane. And that overgrowth leads to all kinds of other symptoms, and that's SIBO. But the good news is there's treatment and testing for it.
That's amazing.
Amazing. We talk a lot about poop and digestive issues. Kids don't talk about it as much. So please tell us, why is poop so important? And what does it tell us?
Well, it can really tell you a state of your health. It also is a toxin that you want to get rid of. Like you ate this really good food, then your body did its thing and absorbed all the nutrition out of it. And now it has waste product that you need to get rid of. So if you don't do that, you're going to be like a toxic waste dump and you're not going to feel as well. You might feel uncomfortable and bloated. And like when you eat, you feel so full. It's because you haven't pooped properly. So it's really important to talk to your parents about it. And if you feel really like uncomfortable, you need to let them know. And don't be afraid about talking about it.
What should our poop look like?
Oh, good question. So first of all, you should be looking in the toilet to see what it looks like. So don't ever be afraid of looking at it. It should be, like a tube, and it should be dark brown color. And if you sometimes see little pieces of corn in there, don't freak out. That happens to everybody. But it shouldn't be like you see all kinds of undigested food. Ideally, I would say corn is the main one. Other than that, you really shouldn't be able to recognize what's floating around in your poop. So that's, something to be aware of. And if it starts to look funny, you should definitely tell your parents.
What are digestive issues that affect kids?
Well, you could have diarrhea, right? The runs, like you like to say, or you could be constipated. So you should definitely be going at least once a day. But if you start to go like 3 or 4 times, and it's watery, you definitely want to let your parents know. But you should be going a couple of times a day, at the very least once. And it should be comfortable. You should feel like when you're done, you're kind of like got all that poop out. You don't feel like you still have some left in. And it should be like a good thing. And ideally, it'd be awesome if it happened every day at the same time. That's not always realistic, but that would be like a sign that your body was very synchronized and in a good rhythm.
But why are people suffering from digestive issues today?
Well, I think one of the things is that the food that we eat, when we eat a lot of junk food, it's hard for people to really absorb nutrition from that. So you end up working really hard to absorb nutrition from that food. So the healthier that you eat, the healthier poop is going to be, the healthier you're going to be. And you also have to be drinking enough water. Right? Like if you don't have enough water, there's not going to be enough moisture to have you have a natural, comfortable poop.
Right. How does our food lead to digestive issues?
So if you have food that's not rich in nutrition, like it's not, organic, mostly if possible, you're doing that. If it's not chewed thoroughly, you have to chew slowly and thoroughly. If it is being gulped down, you're eating too fast, then your body is not going to be receiving that fuel in a way that the body can use it. So think of like you are the blender and you put all that food in there and you make a smoothie. Your chewing is along with your enzymes in your mouth and saliva, that's what your body is doing. It's trying to really make all your food into a smoothie, so to speak, so it can be digested more easily.
Right. So like they say, what comes in comes out.
Exactly. That's right.
We talk a lot about the microbiome, the gut bugs in our belly. How does that affect?
Well, like you said, we have a bunch of bacteria in our gut, and it's primarily supposed to be in the large intestine, which is when you see the picture, it's like that really long, really tubey one that's like right underneath the top of it's right underneath your rib cage. And that is where the waste is going out. And that's also where most of the microbiome is located. And when that isn't a harmonious city or village or planet, however you want to think of it, is like its own universe in there that's still impacting the rest of the body in very powerful ways. When there's not harmony there, it can lead to a lot of disruption of other body systems, like your brain, like your mood, like your how you feel after you eat sugar, things like that. So that's the microbiome. You want to make sure that it's a good balance. So if you get offered to eat a pickle or some yogurt, it's probably a good idea to at least have a bite.
So in your book, Healing SIBO, you talk about SIBO, but what is SIBO?
So SIBO is when some of the bacteria from the large intestine end up in the small intestine. And in the small intestine, if the large intestine's when you poop out like all that waste, the small intestine is like this factory where it's absorbing all of your nutrients and getting sent to the other parts of your body. But when bacteria from the large intestine are located in the small intestine and they overgrow because they're not getting cleaned out properly, then that can lead to a lot of different health issues, including being bloated. Like if you're ever just feeling like really like a balloon, which is why I have a picture of the intestines superimposed on a balloon for the book cover. When you feel like that and you have had food poisoning maybe, or you have been kicked in the stomach by a horse, or a softball hit you in the tummy and you're like, oh, and then scar tissue can form there. That can impact the ability of your small intestine to clean out some of the food there. And then when it's still there, the bacteria can overgrow, and then it makes all that gas and can lead to constipation or diarrhea, or both.
You started talking about the symptoms of SIBO. Is there any other symptoms?
So there's bloating, constipation, diarrhea, or alternating constipation and diarrhea. There are also things like restless leg syndrome and rosacea and imbalances in iron in your blood, as well as imbalances with your B vitamins. So there are a whole bunch. Body pain, fatigue, brain fog. There are a lot of symptoms to it, but it also can mimic other things. So it can appear to be like you have SIBO, but in actuality you have, let's say, a parasite. So you have to make sure you get tested so you really know what you have.
So, what's the difference between if you said you started talking about like the bacteria.
Yeah.
What's the difference? So how can you tell if you have SIBO or if you have like something else?
So that's a really great question. So a parasite or candida yeast can overgrow, and it can mimic SIBO. They all kind of look alike with symptoms, but there's something called a breath test, a SIBO lactulose breath test, which is lactulose is a sugary substance that the body doesn't absorb, but that bacteria loves. So you do a little bit of a diet, you do a little fast in 24 hours. Over that 24 hours, the fast is 12 hours. Then you drink this sugary substance and you blow into a tube and you seal it up. And you do this every 20 minutes for 3 hours, and then you send it to the lab. It's really interesting how they can do this these days. And they can tell from a chart that they're going to make from those test tubes where in the body that bacteria is located based on how the gases appear in those test tubes. So it's super cool. And they'll be able to tell if you have an overgrowth of a particular kind of gas in the small intestine, and therefore they will know that you have SIBO.
That's so cool.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can SIBO affect kids?
It absolutely can. Yeah. If you have a tummy that is, you feel like you don't go often enough, or where you go way too much and it's watery, or you feel like you have a big bloated belly and just doesn't sit right when you eat, you may have SIBO. So you should ask your parents about it and talk to the doctor and make sure that you're getting tested if you really think you have it. But it's something not to ignore, because it can rob you of lots of nutrition, but also of how comfortable you are. You should be comfortable, right? You should just not be thinking about, am I going to poop? Where's the bathroom? It shouldn't be running your life. It should just be a natural byproduct of existence and life.
That's amazing. What can we do to improve SIBO and get rid of SIBO and digestive issues?
Well, one thing you can do is to make sure you're drinking enough water. That always helps with digestive issues, to make sure everything's running smoothly. Let's say you did get a test and you do have SIBO. There are herbs you can take. Alternatively a couple of prescriptions you can take, or there's something called the elemental diet. And in the elemental diet, it's actually food that is broken down into the amino acids. It used to taste terrible, you guys. It tasted so nasty, but they fixed the formulation. And so they made it taste like a way overly sweet milkshake, which I don't even think you would like because it's like way too sweet. But anyway, you would drink that only for 2 weeks with a doctor's supervision. And what that does is it feeds you, but it starves those bacteria. So there are 3 main treatments for it. And then after you've done your treatment, you retest to see if it moved the needle on your bacteria levels. And you may have to redo that again. But those are the 3 standard treatments for SIBO.
What food can lead to more digestive issues?
Well, sometimes food that has a lot of garlic in it can be a trigger for people. I know it has beautiful things to help us, but sometimes the carbohydrates in garlic can be really tricky for some people. Sometimes onions can do that. Sometimes fermented food can do that. Sometimes spicy food can do it. And certainly, if you eat a terrible diet of just processed foods and candies and colas and all that, then it's like vacancy. You're not getting good nutrition. And there's nothing wrong with garlic and fermented food. In some cases, it's perfect for you. And onions, it just can be uncomfortable and a trigger sometimes.
You started talking about the onions and the garlic.
Yeah.
What other foods? Let's talk about the opposite. What foods can help?
Great question. So things that are easily absorbed and that are not highly fermentable. So think about a beer, right? When you see a beer, you see that it's got a big foam on it, and that is like fermented grain. And so you want food where your body is going to be able to digest it and absorb it, and it's not going to have that fermentation process going on in the small intestine. So there's a whole series of food choices for you on something called the SIBO specific food guide, which is a low fermentation food list that you can mix and match and try to eat off of. But like, for example, and portions are really important. So you don't overdo it. Like in the book, there's this nice chart here. And for example, 1/8 of a cup of artichoke hearts is okay. Arugula is okay. Bamboo shoots are okay. 2 slices of beets, okay. But bean sprouts and canned vegetables, corn, okra, those could be really tough for people with SIBO. They have beautiful things to contribute when they're organic and they're cooked properly for you. But when you have SIBO, you might want to stay away from that at that time.
So just to clarify, will junk food make this worse?
I would say junk food makes everything worse. And I would say that junk food would make you feel worse because you're going to feel weaker because you're not going to have the nutrition you need.
What are other lifestyle approaches we can take to improve our digestive issues?
Well, you can exercise every day, make sure you're moving, make sure that you have that proper amount of beverage of water, healthy water, and make sure you're eating some fruits and vegetables so you get some good fiber. And, you try to reduce your stress. I hope you're not stressed, but I know the world is in a tricky situation right now. So it's important to do some deep breathing, practice gratitude, say your prayers, and take good care of yourself and tell the people in your world that you love them, and give lots and lots of hugs.
Absolutely. Are there any specific supplements that can help specifically for kids?
So I'm not a doctor. That's your mom. And so I would say, Mom, you need to answer that. I do not want to do anything like that. I'm just here to help people monitor their SIBO situation. Supplements are a beautiful thing and they can really help. Obviously, we can't all get enough sunshine if you're living in a cloudy space. So sometimes you have to do some vitamin D, but I'll let your mom handle all that. And as far as like eating some good yogurt, that's always a good idea. Or even have you guys ever made your own yogurt?
No.
You got to talk to your mom about making your own yogurt because that is really great for probiotics.
Now let's talk about probiotics.
Yeah, exactly.
What about probiotics?
So probiotics are a way for you to get that good bacteria of the microbiome back into your body. And it's tricky because, you know, there are a lot out there, and some people are more sensitive than others, but I'm sure there's some great ones designed for kids. Work with your physician and your parents to have, you know, get a good one. But you might, for those of you who are listening and your mom and dad aren't around right now, you might want to ask them about it later on, because it is something that I wish I had done when I was your age.
So probiotics will not make it. Will it help?
So there is studies that have been done that show some probiotics can help, but there are also a lot of people who feel like the probiotics make their symptoms worse. So I believe, from my non-scientific theory, but from talking to thousands of people about SIBO, their SIBO, I believe it depends on your underlying cause. So talk to your doctor about that.
Absolutely. Can you please tell us more about your amazing book?
You're so sweet to ask. So it's called Healing SIBO. It's got a picture of the intestines on a big balloon representing that gas I was talking about. And it gives you a plan for you to know all kinds of things, including how to destroy the bacteria, the autoimmune link between gluten and SIBO. It has recipes in the back about testing that I was just talking to you about. And it has a chart about the digestive system. So you can see, you know, including the mouth, the esophagus, the whole system. And then on page 111, there's a chart that shows you, let's see here. There's a chart, and that chart shows you all of the different things you can do to deal with your SIBO and heal it. And it has to do with like a map of the things that you can do and which step follows which step in terms of your gut in treating SIBO.
What is one thing kids and parents can do to improve their digestive health?
They can chew. You have to chew, guys. You really need to chew and make sure that you're not gulping your food, that you're breaking it down so that your digestive system doesn't have to work so hard. So you can help it out by chewing slowly and thoroughly and helping the rest of the body not have to work so hard to get the nutrition out. You are the blender.
Like we said in the beginning, you have summits coming.
I do. I have done a bunch of summits online. Your mom's been in some of them, thank goodness. I've done the SIBO SOS Summit 1 and 2, the Microbiome Rescue Summit, along with a documentary called Digestion SOS, Rescue and Relief for IBS, SIBO, and Leaky Gut. And my next summit is a tribute to my mom, who was very sick with her lymphatic system, and it is called the Lymphatic Rescue Summit. So people can learn about that, and that's coming up in April.
Where can we learn more about you? You are so inspirational.
You are very, very sweet. Thank you for that. You can come to my website, SIBOSOS.com. That's SIBOSOS.com. And you can also come to our Facebook group and get support. It's SIBO SOS Community on Facebook. I'm on Instagram for SIBO_SOS. And I hope everybody will, if they're interested in figuring out if they have SIBO, the fastest and quickest way to do it is to get the book. It's $20, Amazon, where all fine books are sold, and you will be well on your way. And you might have to end up training your doctor because it wasn't taught in medical school.
Before we go, what is your favorite recipe for digestive health?
You have tons of recipe in this book as well.
Yeah, there are tons. Here, I have one right here. Hold on, it's right here. This is Green Goddess dressing. And when I feel like Green Goddess dressing. So it's a SIBO safe version of Green Goddess dressing. And oh my gosh, you guys, I dip a little bit of celery in there and chew it really well. And then a little carrot in there. Oh, it's so good. So I love dressings and sauces. Also in here is that 24-hour yogurt recipe. And there's also something that I came up with sort of on my own. And it is called, let's see, I want to tell you. Forget that. That's boring. I'm going to tell you about this. This is orange cinnamon rice pudding. It is yummy. There's tons of great recipes in here. Lots of good desserts.
We'll try to have. Well, we're gonna have them too.
Okay,
We'd love to try them.
good.
That was so empowering. Everyone, make sure to follow Miss Sarna on social media. Your gut is the gateway to your health, as it contains 70 to 80% of our immune system. So we need to take care of our gut the best we know how. Let's go over Miss Sarna's key points. Look at your poop.
Number 2, avoid foods that increase inflammation, and junk foods can make everything worse, like limit or eliminate sugar, processed foods, artificial foods, junk foods, as these will only weaken your gut, leading to inflammation and chronic symptoms. Eat whole foods, unprocessed foods, and real foods. Make sure to eat the rainbow. It's so delicious and colorful. It's hard not to. Make sure to drink your water, but avoid garlic, as it can trigger some people, even onions, spicy foods, and fermented foods. They can all trigger SIBO, and eat things that are easily absorbed and not easily fermented. Exercise every day.
5, lots of fruit and vegetables. And make sure you are chewing your food.
Number 6, stress management. Stress can lead to most chronic conditions, as it makes your gut bacteria sick. It leads to weakened immune system. So incorporate a stress management technique into your daily routine. We love to play outdoors, practice mindfulness, meditation, and prayer. Practice gratitude. Focus on things you are grateful for, not be negative, and have a happy mind and a happy gut.
Yeah, just be positive, guys. Optimize sleep. While you sleep, your body doesn't use much energy, so it has more time to heal your body, make hormones, lower inflammation, and detoxify your body.
You got it. You got it.
Thank you.
Wow, Miss Sarna, that was amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, you guys.
It's our pleasure.
It's our pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Until next time, I'm Zayn Ansari.
And I'm Abdullah.
Follow my family and I on social media, Holistic Mom and Dean. And look out for my mom's book, The Holistic RX, Your Guide to Healing Chronic Inflammation and Disease. And the amazing children's book we wrote together called Adam's Healing Adventure. Yay! Check it out on Amazon. Yay! Remember, our body and our health is a huge blessing, and we need to take care of it, our body, the best we know how. Please spread the word. Kids need to learn from other kids. Please download our podcast on iTunes, and so kids can review, so other kids and families can benefit. We need to work together to create a healthier future for all of us. Join us next week for another episode of the Holistic Kids Show, where kids are empowering kids. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.